guys, today I'm doing Iready reading.
Grandma, an excerpt from As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds.
In this excerpt from As Brave as You, 11-year-old Jeannie and his family have just arrived at his grandparents' house in the Virginia countryside, where he has never been. The family has been driving for 2 days from their home in New York City. Jeannie has not seen his grandmother for many years. Inside the house was just as dark as outside until Grandma finally flipped a switch. A dim, yellowy light came on that made everything look like a smartphone picture with a vintage filter on it. They were in an old kitchen with peeling sea green wallpaper, a school bus yellow fridge buzzing as loud as a laundromat washer.
Tap the word that helps you understand what a vintage filter looks like. Why is the grandparents' home compared to a vintage filter?
The family, everything in the kitchen seems old-fashioned.
Reread the sentence from the story. Finish breaking the sentence into 3 separate ideas.
Junior and his family were in one cushion. The sea green wallpaper was peeling. The yellow fridge buzzed loudly.
Inside the house was just as dark. Grandma's face was slightly wrinkled, but still looked like Dad's around the eyes. That was all Jeannie could see of her face, because everything else was covered up by the flowered gown that looked more like a bedsheet with a hole cut out for her head to go through than an actual nightdress.
What does Jeannie notice about Grandma?
Her eyes look very similar to Dad's.
Reread the sentence from the story. Match each sentence part to the question it answers.
Which part tells what Grandma is wearing? What did Grandma's clothes look like? That was
"Line up and let me see," Grandma directed as they shuffled around on the plasticky floor. "That city's beating on you, ain't it?" she said, sizing up Dad first. "My pleasure, Mama." I know," she said, patting him on the belly. "At least you eatin' well up there." Then she turned to Ma. "Thank you for feeding him, dear."
Tap the phrase that gives a clue about the meaning of sizing up. Why is Grandma sizing up Dad?
She wants to look at him to see how he's doing.
Why does Dad sound irritated and tired? Reread the sentences from the passage. Then tap the phrase up there to begin the activity. What does up there refer to? Choose the phrase that completes the sentence. In the city. Reread the sentences from the story. Add the phrase that completes the thought in the underlined sentence. The Harmonica, an excerpt from As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds. Read carefully. You only get one try to answer each question.
In the following excerpt, brothers Jeannie and Ernie are eating dinner with their grandparents when a thunderstorm causes a power outage. Their grandfather reaches into his pocket. You know how to play the harmonica? Jeannie asked, instantly intrigued.
Reread the sentences from the story. Add the word that completes the thought in the sentence.
He held up the silver instrument, commenting the flicker of the candle flame.
Grandpop tapped it on the table a few times before bringing it up to his mouth. I dibble and dabble, he said. Then he pressed the metallic bar to his lips and started blowing, moving the harmonica back and forth like a cartoon character eating corn on the cob.
Reread the sentence from the story. Finish breaking the sentence into 3 separate ideas. When cartoon characters eat corn on the cob, they move it quickly across their mouths. What does this comparison suggest about Grandpop?
He is playing with excitement.
Grandpop played and played, his cheeks inflating and deflating, his head rocking side to side. The sound sometimes really, really quiet, and other times piercingly loud. There was one part where Grandpop even made it sound like a train, choo-chooing. Spooky, but cool, very cool, Jeannie thought. He completely forgot about eating. Ernie, too. Grandpop didn't stop until he was sweating and totally out of breath. Grandma leaned over and rubbed his back as he tried to get his wind. Jeannie and Ernie clapped like they just got a free concert or something. Grandpop just nodded. It was like he had blown out all his words.
Reread the sentences from the story. Reorder the sentence parts to state the ideas more clearly.
When Grandpa made a harmonica sound like a train, Jeannie thought it sounded both spooky and cool.
How does Jeannie react to Grandpop playing the harmonica?
Jeannie is confused. He doesn't understand. Jeannie is impressed because he never heard the harmonica playing that way.
Reread the sentence from the story. Add the phrase that completes the thought in the sentence. Tap the phrase that helps you understand why Grandpop tried to get his wind.
Out of breath.
What do you learn about Grandpop from this phrase?
He puts a lot of effort into playing the harmonica.
Which of these sentences has the same meaning as the underlined sentence?
Grandpa could only nod because he was too tired to speak.
On the Road, an excerpt from As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds.
North Hill, Virginia was country, like country. And Jeannie and Ernie were staying there in a small white house on the top of a hill, Grandma and Grandpop's house, for a month, like 30 whole days. The boys had arrived 2 nights earlier after a long, cramped ride in the back of their dad's old Honda. Cramped at least for Jeannie, because Ernie, in a cheeseburger coma, had stretched out on the back seat as if it were his own personal couch, forcing Jeannie to be smushed against the window for most of the trip. Jeannie had thought about playing Pete and repeat by mimicking Ernie's nasty snores, but then he realized it wouldn't matter because Ernie wasn't awake to get annoyed by it anyway. And that was the whole point of that game. So to take his mind off the discomfort of being trapped under Ernie's leg, stewing in the thick silence between his folks, who had managed not to talk to each other for the past 4 hours, Jeannie flipped through pages of his notebook where he kept his best questions. Some had already been answered, and some were still mysteries. He landed on one that he had totally forgotten about, number 389. Do honey badgers eat honey? Then tried telling his parents about how he'd read on the internet that honey badgers actually do eat honey, and how many of them have been stung to death by bees because they wanted honey from the hive so bad. The toughest, craziest animal ever.
Bye guys, that's all for today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Also, what time do